What can be more basic than having an artist teach us how to draw? Certainly better than a plumber.
I start out by talking about all the different pencils. You get a pencil, it's going to have on it a number and a letter usually. So this one is a 3H pencil. What that means is that it is a hard pencil and it is 3 hard.
There are many different pencil grades available. Which one you choose is up to you, of course.
So the 6B pencil is going to be much darker lead. So as you can see, the ones on the left side, this one is a 6B, is going to be really dark. I think it goes all the way up to 8. What you may be wondering is, where does a number 2 pencil? Well, the Dixon, they've been nice enough to explain that is actually an HB. But what number 2 pencil can mean, from the way I understand it, is that it can go anywhere from 2H all the way to 2B. So anything in between there would be considered a number 2 pencil. But this one is in particular, it's an HB, which would be right in the middle, so that's perfect for a number 2 pencil. I would say the mechanical pencils are much softer lead. They're probably in the B's for sure. Let's kind of give this a test real quick, see what kind of... So I would say, just by looking, that would probably be almost like a 4B, maybe a 3B. You'll also find, occasionally, you'll find these kind of pencils in drawing kits, an F. That, from my understanding, is pretty much as dark as an HB pencil, but I've heard that it's supposed to be harder lead. It's supposed to stay sharp longer if it's an F. I'm not really sure. It's like a slightly lighter than an HB, maybe, I would say. But it's supposed to last longer. I don't know. Ebony pencils, like an 8B or a 9B, very dark compared to the 6B.
Some artists prefer a soft lead pencil, like the one John is using. Others, of a more delicate bent, select a finer hard lead, like this one here.
So when you get a drawing kit, you also may get some of these things. They don't really talk about this in the How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way book, because they're not really into this kind of drawing, but they're usually come in kits. So what this is just a blender. It's just going to be able to kind of smudge the stuff that you've already done. It is much better at smudging the soft pencils than it is smudging with the hard pencils, but it still will smudge the hard pencils. And also, I think I still have some, the graphite on there from these softer pencils. You can kind of take it and kind of move it around. They come really fat. Skinnier ones. There's super skinny ones. There's lots of different kinds of erasers. It's the kind of eraser that would come on the end of a regular pencil, more or less, and it does a fairly good job of erasing. It's probably not the best eraser for your paper, because it does kind of tear your paper up a little bit. When an eraser is erasing, basically it's just kind of picking up all the little tiny pieces of graphite and just kind of cleaning them off the paper, because the graphite doesn't ever really soak into the paper in the way that ink does. So this just kind of cleans the papers. But this is the way that this cleans the paper. It's kind of rough on the paper, so I really don't like using these kind of erasers. There's also these kind of white erasers. I use this a lot. You can tell because of the way it's so messed up. I think these are a little easier on the paper, and I think they do a little better job of getting the paper clean. These kind of erasers are the type of erasers that you would find on like a mechanical pencil like this. It's just a different type of rubber from this type of rubber, and I think it's a little better for art. These are called kneaded rubber erasers. It's easy to mistake them for sticky tack or clay. A lot of times kids like to kind of play with them. Like this, it actually kind of cleans the eraser off a little bit. You can see it's kind of like more white rubber, and it also makes it a lot stickier. And then a good thing about this kind of eraser is you can kind of form it into like little points if you want to just like erase like little details. Not super effective at completely cleaning the paper, so some people like to use it just to kind of like get a nice clean part and then just kind of dab and just slowly kind of pick up values. It's not the best eraser for like completely erasing something and making it gone. It just takes a little bit of the stuff off. So another option. These kind of erasers, these are the kind of erasers that have a nice rubbery smell. They're called art gum erasers. They're a different kind of rubber as well. Old school, like this is the kind of erasers they used to use back in the day. Actually, in that How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way book, they definitely show these kind of erasers and these kind of erasers.
Most professionals use an eraser like this.
They don't really talk about these. I'm not really sure that this kind of rubber had been invented yet or something. I don't know. But this, definitely I wouldn't use that much. This, they're okay. They do a pretty good job of getting rid of stuff, but I would say they definitely don't do as good of a job of erasing and getting rid of what you have as these do, and these don't do as good of a job by any means as these. And then this is obviously this is just for something else. This is not really for erasing and getting rid. I don't think this is more for like detail work and kind of fine-tuning your shading and your values and stuff. Then I've got this. This is a dry cleaning pad. So the idea is like, you know, you're drawing and you get, oh, you can already see, you get like maybe like, I don't really have anything on my hands, but you get like smudges and stuff. What this thing is this is like a kind of like a little, almost like a little cloth bag, and it's full of, if you smell it, this kind of eraser, but like the dust from the eraser. So if you rub this on your paper, if it has smudges on it, what it'll do is it'll just barely erase, and it'll get rid of the smudges, and it'll clean your drawing without really messing it up. And then if you get like, you want to get really like professional, you get like a little brush that gets rid of all that eraser stuff. Another kind of eraser that I really like, I don't have very many refills for this, so I don't use it very often. It's this kind of eraser. Basically, it's this kind, again, this kind of rubber, but it'll be like a whole stick of it. So this whole thing is just an eraser. I've also seen them, I used to have one that was like really tiny little erasers. I don't think I have that anymore. And I've seen ones that even kind of have like a motor in them that'll vibrate like, and like it's like an electric eraser. I don't know. I've never really needed to erase that much to where I feel like I need like a power tool to erase. My normal erasing seems to work pretty well.
You'll need a simple drawing pen with a thin point for inking and bordering.
I like these Pigma Microns. They usually seem pretty good. But even these kind of pens are good. Just these regular old Pilots, they're good too. But what I'm going to be trying to do for like while I do this How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way is I'm going to go old school. I'm going to have to dip them in ink. Rulers, and I've got this triangle. I've had this triangle for like 15, almost 20 years. Probably won't be using this, but what this thing is a T-square. It's basically just something to draw straight lines on. You take this part, and if you look, there's like a little thing. What you do is you kind of like hang that on the edge of your desk, like that, and then as you move it along the edge of your desk, all these lines.
Tool for drawing borders and for keeping lines parallel. A triangle, too, is a necessity for drawing right angles and working in perspective.